Hey, Sean, I used to run social media pages for a living. It's what Boom did. Boom did social media management. We used video to sort of support that for like 9 years, and then completely stepped away from managing social media professionally and just focused on video production. And because of that, I'd been on Facebook since I want to say like March 6th, 2004, I think. And I only know that because I used to do presentations about social media. But so I've been on for over 15 years. I've been on Facebook. And a little over a year ago, I deactivated my account. I was just getting upset by the news feed. I wasn't getting any value out of it that was helping me. And also, I'm the kind of person who I have an addictive personality. And so I would overcheck. And if I was standing in line somewhere, I would just start scrolling through Facebook. And I hated that about myself. It's not who I want to be. That's not what I want to train my brain to do. And so I deactivated Facebook like a year and a half ago. And then last week, somewhat more abruptly than that, I took the time to permanently delete my Facebook, which I had, been hesitating to do. But at the same time, I also permanently deleted my Instagram account. So Instagram.com/Colonel Sean is gone, and no one can ever have it. You can't make that again. I can't go back and make that again. It's gone. And I've thought a lot about this, but it was the same sort of thing where I was just checking it nonstop. And I was telling myself that I have this account because I can communicate with, other creators and things like that and can help my business. And yes, I used it to network with people where it's easier on set sometimes when you meet somebody to be like, hey, do you have a business card? Like, no, it's just, hey, what's your Instagram? Follow them on Instagram and you can shoot messages and get in communication. And I had 4 people that I talked to exclusively through Instagram, and everyone else I had since exchanged phone numbers with because I don't like using the Instagram Messenger. I switched to regular texts, and that works better for me. And so I took the time to message those 4 people and say, hey, I'm done with this for now. Not for now. I'm done with this forever. Love your contact information to make sure we can stay in touch. I did that, and poof, Instagram is gone forever. And I sort of had this moment, for the few hours afterwards, because it asks you, are you sure you want to delete this forever? And in the background of that sort of fogged out, it's asking me, it's all my old photos and some of the first photos. And I still have all those photos. I took all those photos. But there was this my old, dates with Jesse from way back in the day and, boom shoots from, it's I still have those pictures. I don't need to have them on Instagram. But the 2 things that sort of pushed me over the end is one, again, I was getting that spot of I was just scrolling by default. And especially with quarantine, I was just sort of watching, just looking at my screen, scrolling content, and then 10 minutes later checking again to see if anything new had happened. And no, it didn't and never did. And then the second part of it was I'm having some disagreements with how Facebook Incorporated is handling posts by certain leaders that are abusing their citizens and misleading people, and there's no catch on that. And I hear this argument because Twitter just did this, and I hear this argument of well, it's not free speech. Twitter can't crack down there. This is America. And first of all, no. We have a constitutional right to free speech, but these are all private companies, or even if they're publicly traded, you get to make your own terms of service. If you want to say that you can't use swear words or you can't have nudity on the platform, you're entitled to that. Instagram doesn't allow nudity on it, and no one is screaming about the free speech problems because people understand you go to these places and you're required to live within those guidelines. If you go to Target and take off all of your clothes, you will be kicked out of Target. And that's not a hindrance on your expression of free speech. That's just the kind of atmosphere that Target is doing its best to promote and maintain for the sake of their customers and the people they're trying to attract. There's other places where you can probably shop wearing other outfits and get away with it. But my point is, if Twitter wants to say, hey, you can't talk about stuff like this, you can't promote violence, that's not infringing on your First Amendment rights, because your First Amendment rights don't extend to this company. And if you're going to say that a baker doesn't have to bake a cake for people with whom they disagree with their lifestyle, then absolutely Twitter does not have to allow the posting of whatever vitriol and stuff you want to put out there. And so with Facebook taking a stance against this and saying we're okay with people gathering a following and exploiting them and misleading them, it was those two things in tandem of, you know what, I don't want to be a part of bringing content to these platforms, because the other thing that Facebook and Instagram do is they keep all of the money for themselves. And with YouTube, if I get some ad revenue from this video, YouTube takes 45% of it and I get 55% of it. And they run the platform and they host all my videos and I get a cut of that. And when people bring viewers to the platform, YouTube shares that revenue with those creators. And Facebook and Instagram do not do that. So if you are creating an account on Instagram that has, hundreds of millions of views and it's, getting all these ads shown to them, all of the visitors, Facebook and Instagram just pocket every dime of that and do not share with the creators. And so it was this sort of group of things that came together for me where I'm like, I just don't want to be a part of this anymore. I get that it's common for everyone to have it, and that's fine. I just don't feel good about being there anymore, and it doesn't actually bring any value to me that's worth making the ethical sacrifice I think that it looks to be at this point to me. So I did this around a year ago when I deactivated Facebook. I also completely stepped away from reading the news at all. I would watch John Oliver's show once a week occasionally, and that was my only bit of news. I stopped checking New York Times, and when I read the news, I read New York Times and Fox News because I want to be aware of who's being told what and what information is actually making it to people. And I was just free from this load of nonsense that is the news cycle. And it was such a relief to not have to deal with any of that and to not have that sort of, every week there was mass shooting and stuff like that. And all it did was make me sad and angry. And it didn't do anything for the bigger picture to have me know that. And this is where the whole crux of this video comes in. So in a nutshell, a specific moment of this dilemma, after I had been off of all news last year for around a month, I was in Louisville with Jesse for our anniversary. And while we finished breakfast and walked out of the room in the hotel, the breakfast room, there was, coffee and a newspaper. And on the cover of the newspaper was the New Zealand, the Christchurch Cathedral mass shooting, the massacre at the mosque. And I saw that and my heart sank and I was angry because it's this mass shooting and this, religious charged attack on Muslims. And it was this awful, ignorant thing. And so I was flooded with anger and sadness and a little bit of guilt of like, why didn't I know this? Why am I finding out about this by, walking past a newspaper? And it occurred to me like, well, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to avoid knowing all this stuff. But then a few hours later, after I had this sort of processing what had happened a little bit, I then had the realization of, I'm just angry now. There's nothing I can do to fix the situation. There's nothing I can do to really make an impactful, assistance or, help in any meaningful way. And so having read the news, I was just sad and angry and feeling just as hopeless, if not more hopeless and helpless. And so that's where I find myself now. And so a week after having deleted the last bit of my social media, you can still find me on LinkedIn. If you really need to find me on LinkedIn, that still exists. I last week, after freeing myself from Instagram, I started checking the news almost as obsessively, if not more obsessively. And there's all the stuff going on with, the amazing things happening with Black Lives Matter and the police reform. And then there's all this vitriol and nonsense coming from people who are just ignorant and angry and unwilling to listen and learn. And I got angry again. And Thursday night, I barely slept because I was so upset about all the things I was reading. And so I stopped. I shut it down and then didn't check the news on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And now it is Monday evening. It's 5:15 when I record this. And I haven't checked the news. And I've heard, in talking to a couple people, just, here and there with phone calls, like people are bringing up things that are happening. And so I'm slightly aware of a few of the sort of keystone moments that are happening politically right now. But I'm donating to the organizations that are making a difference with the issues that matter to me. I am registered and prepared to vote for the people who are going to do what I think is right and what I think is fair and American. And being informed of all the other little things, I'm struggling to understand why I need to know that. And if I do, where are the right sources to learn that so that I'm not just reading political commentary that's upsetting me about comments that people made and statements and who tweeted what about who and in response to whatever. And it's just so noisy that it was giving me anxiety and I had to step away. So I'm now at this place where I've heard the expression, the low information diet. And I think that's a good expression where just like some people need to cut out carbs, and it doesn't mean that you're never going to have a cookie again in your life, but it means like for now, you really need to focus on not eating so many carbs. And I'm doing the same thing with information where I'm going to make sure that I know what I need to know, and I'm going to rely on my friends and normal conversation to curate these things. And I am torn about, is that ignorant? Is that a further extension or manifestation of my privilege that I can step away from the news? But is it possible to also live my life in a way that can support the movements that I need to support and that I want to support and help America change to be what I want it to be without compromising my mental health by paying attention to every bit of news that comes through? So I end this video as the lawnmower starts next door. So if you do anything actively to sort of throttle the information that you get for the sake of your mental health and general sanity and anxiety, let me know. Let me know, because I don't think stepping away and embracing ignorance is a long-term solution to this. But I also know that checking it daily and reading every headline and diving into articles about all the stuff and being that informed, I don't think that's truly productive or healthy. And so right now I'm trying to find what is the sustainable long-term plan for information and myself. But I know that for me right now, it does not include checking the news daily, and it does not include Facebook or Instagram. That's all I got. That's what I've been thinking about. If you made it through another one of these long videos, thank you. And this one, I may have put an ad on. And if you watched that ad and made it all the way to here, again, thank you. This is the teeny tiny way that I'm able to make money during quarantine. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.